Hello folks, it's Friday, December 28, 2018. We're in the workshop and I just want to, I've been talking a fair amount about our door jamb. So this will be the vertical piece of the door jamb, and if you look real careful right there, you can see where I glued a board on to make this wider. If you look at the back side, it's more apparent. So I did that, and then I cut it down to size, and then I have a dovetail jig, and I put this board in that dovetail jig, and with a bit I was able to cut that groove. Now if we look at the side, you'll see this comes down, okay? And what happens is this board here is the top board of the door jamb, and you can see that that also comes in at an angle. And then this will slide into that groove, and this side will slide into the groove of another board. So yesterday I had tried to do it, tried to slide them, and anyways, I had made my joints too tight, and I ended up cracking the other board like this, and I ended up cracking this board. So what I did yesterday afternoon was cut another board. So I ended up cutting off this much, and then I cut another board that I glued on yesterday afternoon, and then I sanded it down today. Now our door jambs and all of our woodwork will be painted white, with the exception of the cherry doors. Those will get stained. And in fact, here are some door parts for the entry door from the garage. Here's the stile, and there's a stile. I have to cut those to size. As long as I'm talking about painted woodwork, I know I've mentioned in the past about crown molding, and so I just want to show you, this is some crown molding that I had bought many years ago, and what I did is I put this up in my daughter's house. So there's this piece of crown molding, which is let's see, you can't find a ruler. This crown molding is about 2.5, 2 5/8. So it's pretty small. It's usually what might be at the top of a cupboard. And but I wanted this to be up in the corner between the wall and the ceiling on my daughter's home, and so I wanted something with a bit bigger profile, and what I did is, with some medium density fiber board, or MDF, I cut strips, and you can see I glued them together and nailed them probably. Yeah, nailed them. You can see a little nail hole there. And then on the ones that I put up, I also had a little triangle in here that I could nail this to. And if you can imagine, let's just say that this is the ceiling and this is the wall. What I do is I nail this up there. And for those of you that might remember, I put in nailing strips between all of the roof rafters all around the living areas of the house. And the purpose was so that I could nail this ceiling piece right up into tight against the ceiling and then this would get nailed against the sill plate. So what I did, and what I will do on this house, is I will make that MDF, and I have a bigger piece of cherry crown. But you see how nice that looks? I mean, here's that board, and then sitting inside of this form that I made, I think that this really adds a nice profile to it. So that's the way that will go. One of the things that I'm back onto the door jamb with you now. One of the things that is I will have on my door jamb, I'll have a piece of cherry right next to my slate floor up there by the mudroom. But I need more than one piece because these are 2 1/4. So what I'll end up doing is cutting the groove off and then cutting it to size, width-wise and length. But these are 2 pieces of cherry hardwood flooring that I had bought. And what I did this morning is I drilled all of these holes with what they call a pocket hole jig. And pocket hole jigs are used often to make face frames on cabinetry and the like. And so once I had my pocket hole drilled, I then put some screws in about every 6 inches or so. And those screws are 1 1/4 inches, and they have this square top, which takes a square bit. And I held them together with clamps, and then I screwed it. Now, when you look at it, you can certainly see the joint. What I will do is I will let this dry because I also glued it, and I'll take the screws out, and then I'll run it through my thickness planer over there and, get it nice and even. And then I'll cut it down to size. So that will be the part of the threshold for the door at the bottom of the door jambs. We'll go upstairs once just for a minute so that you can see what I'm talking about. And I know I've mentioned that the door jamb or entry is bigger than normal for whatever reason, and I don't know why. We had to add this, and of course then we've got our sheathing for support, and then we have our drywall out in the garage. So from here all the way over to here is 8 3/8. And so I cut, I'll just show you here, this is the other door jamb. I cut that to be 8 3/8, and then I'll bring it out on the bottom. Now that board that I was showing you of the cherry hardwood flooring will go right here, and it'll be even with the top of this. Now, one thing I have to do before I do that is I have to clean all of this out. If you were here, you'd see that there's ever so slight amount that needs to get cut back in order for us to get a good clean fit of the cherry flooring to the threshold. Now, this is that cherry threshold that I made the other day. And from here, you can see I'm quite thick over there, about 1 3/4 inches, and then I come down to about a 3/8 inch thickness. Now, once I get my threshold made and get this union junction between slate and cherry cleaned out and real smooth, what I will do is I'll cut this to 36 inches, and I will cut the cherry hardwood flooring to 36. Then what I'll do is right in that corner on the bottom, I'll cut a dado or a rabbit, whatever, I guess it's a rabbit. And I'll come in probably an inch, and it'll be 3/4 of an inch high. And so I'll cut a slot or a groove there. And the purpose of that will be so that that threshold, I've got it backwards, the thick end will be facing out, that thick end will slide right over the cherry hardwood flooring that I've showed you downstairs. And my door, when that gets built and put on, will swing from here towards the lake to close and to open from the lake to the road. What I'll do once I put the top board and the other jam board like this in here, I'll have a 36-inch opening, and then I will nail these on both sides to here, and then I'll be able to start doing my door. So that's it. It's a long explanation, but you know, I want to be able to have all of my doors ultimately be the same height from the floor, or that slate, which is 3/4 of an inch, up to there. And so I've very painstakingly been working on making sure that I mark my measurements so that there will be no, not that much more brain work when I do the rest of the doors up here. They'll all be at the same height. Thanks for following progress.